and welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You can find your way out to Great Lakes Honda City today and every Monday through Saturday for sales and service. And of course, we thank them for all the work that they've done. They have given me my vehicles for over a decade now, and I cannot thank them enough for helping me to find something that I feel safe in, that I appreciate, and that I'm valued. So I want to say thank you to them for that more than anything. Going to a dealership is typically not fun for people, but I can honestly say that going to see them has been something where it's been helpful and it's been worth it every single time to get my vehicle from Great Lakes Honda City. So make sure you head out there today and let them know that DT sent you. Of course, you could find them by simply going to greatlakeshondacity.com and you could check out their inventory there this morning. So with that being said, it is my honor and my privilege to welcome inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', our guests of today. We're going to start things off with Symir Torrence. Cy, you know from being at Marquette, Syracuse, Binghamton, and then moving on and playing professional basketball all over the world. Now he's back in our community. He's going to be playing for Laynes Hope in the TBT, and we're going to discuss hoops in Central New York as well as the TBT coming up, his pro basketball career, and more. And that's coming up in just a second. And then in hour number 2, we will have another connection to Binghamton in our all-new Bearcat Breakroom, proudly presented by our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. We will be celebrating the career of Kyle Borshoff, the head coach of the Binghamton Bearcats wrestling team, as he has decided to step away and go into a new chapter of his life and step away from coaching. But as we will talk about today, once a coach, always a coach. You don't want to miss a second of that conversation with Kyle, as it is a very candid conversation, not only about his life, but the current state of collegiate athletics. And then we'll finish off the show, as we always do on a Tuesday, with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's. Today's topic is going to be ad-libbing the recipe, which is something that I know, I would think a lot of you know that have decided to ever get in a kitchen and cook. You know what it is like to ad-lib a recipe. So we'll be discussing what that means literally and figuratively in just a little while. So with that being said, picture in picture with my guy Symir Torrence here with me this morning. Cy, how we doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. How about you?
I'm doing well, and always my pleasure, man. I think back to, and I think it just showed up on my phone when they do those memory things and whatnot, going back to SAS when you and I got to sit there and tell your story from sitting on the court of where everything happened for you in high school and whatnot. So that never goes away. And around summertime, I think about it too because that's when we sat down with each other. So I'm like, man, I wonder what Cy's doing. I hope he's
Yeah.
well. And then I find out that you're going to be in the TBT again. So congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
I'd love to just catch up with you first and foremost. I know you've been playing pro ball and I've been following, so I'd love to hear from your perspective how the journey's been so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. It's been difficult. It's uh, all of the above. But it's just been a great experience. I got to see different parts of the world. I was in Finland, and then I blessingly got bought out of that contract, and then went to another team in another league that was better and just kind of fitted me more to kind of see where I was at my first year. And that went well. And I was in Belgium. And Belgium was a nice city. I guess I was in like, if not the best city, the second best city in Belgium. I was in Antwerp. There was a lot of stuff to do, a lot of eats. Nice people over there. The world is a lot different on the other side. It was just crazy to see it. So it was just uh, kind of different to just get used to, just from being over here for 20, 23 years, 23 and a half years, and then being over there for a year. So, but everything is well, everything is good. Just got to keep it going.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, everything going well, but like you said, it's difficult, it's fun. Bring me into the dance of those things, right? Being something that obviously you enjoy, you love playing basketball, but the difficulty of, you're traveling, you're in different places, different countries, different teams, just what the adversity was, what the challenge was these last couple of years.
Yeah, I know. I mean, first thing is just being away from family, being away from the loved ones, um, and just kind of getting used to that as you get older. Um, it's a day to day process. Basketball wise, your body is getting beat up
Yeah.
from morning to night. So learning how to kind of navigate that, keeping up with your body. So I watch a lot of clips of just pro NBA players on what they do with their body. LeBron's obviously the best one to just look at, and his longevity, being 41, 40 years old, still playing in today's game. It's kind of awesome to see. He's giving us the blueprint, so why not just kind of take a little bit of pieces from him? But I feel like those two are the most difficult things. The other ones is probably like just fitting in.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when people have a very hard time coming from states to overseas playing pro basketball. It's either they don't want to fit in or it just takes them some time to fit in. And I'm lucky enough, I'm blessed enough to, you know, uh kind of be able to like how do I put it? Try new things, and not be afraid to like, get out there and see what's out there. That's what I mean by like fitting in,
Yeah.
not just being around basketball, but seeing what's out there in the world, seeing what's the structure like in Belgium. I can tell you now, like there's a lot of bike riders, there's a lot of walkers.
Yeah.
The environment over there is just a lot like healthier. The food portions are very small, so just getting used to that and just kind of living in their structure. So
Well, and like you said, I mean, you get to learn the land. Like when I went out to Italy with my dad for 10 days just a couple months ago, there's a lot of bike riders. There's, a lot of people on like those motorcycles or mopeds or whatever, and there's a lot of people walking around. There's people everywhere, and the streets are small. It kind that we were driving through this one street and it felt like we had driven into a shopping mall. Like there was
mhm.
just people walking in the middle of the road, and you're thinking to yourself, like the car looked like it didn't belong. The people look like they did. They look like they took over the street essentially, and you get to learn different things. And like you said, it's a lot healthier. I realized that overseas too because I had pizza like pretty much every single day. Got into arguably the best shape of my life. I was walking everywhere. I came home. I told my mom, I was like, punch my stomach. Like, I was, I feel good, felt strong. And when I came home, I was like, I have to challenge myself now to not, eat certain foods, not do certain things because it was different there. There was definitely a different feel. So, I mean, I can finally speak to that because I had never been overseas, but now I can say that I have been. So there is a difference in food. There is a difference in the fact of, there are people that don't necessarily have a lot of cars out there. A lot of people are walking to different places, and the portions, like you said, are different. And sometimes the description of food or what you're anticipating is not exactly what you get. So I would love to go a little bit deeper into that and maybe what your experience was, because that's something that you and I can understand of each other here now that I've been out to Italy, that there is a difference. And sometimes getting something in America is very different than getting it overseas, and there's more health to it. There's a
Yeah.
different look to it sometimes. So I'd love to get your thoughts because I'm definitely completely understanding what you're putting down.
Yeah, I mean, when I got over there, and just eating different foods, you could just tell like the ingredients were a lot different.
Yeah.
Um, it just tasted healthier. But I'm saying all foods. Like even the candies and the snacks that we think aren't like obviously they're not as healthy as other foods, but like even over there, like their candies and snacks or stuff are a lot healthier, and it's kind of crazy to say and see, but once you have it, you'll understand it. Because I'm a sweet tooth, and I was eating a lot of candy over there, and but like eating it over here, you feel the difference, especially like when you're an athlete and you're on the court and you're working out. You can feel that candy kind of buzz up, and you can kind of get tired a little bit from eating that candy. But over there, it's not as much. I don't think it's as much sugar in it, but it still tastes even better. Actually, it doesn't taste just good; it tastes even better. Um, and with the living situation, it just took me a while to like once I was driving around, just learning that the walkers and the bikers have like they're like the how do I put this? Like they're the ones that go first. Like they have the authority. So you kind of got to watch out for them. They don't have to watch out for you in a sense. I feel like that's a lot different than what we're used to over here. Um, I feel like they use the rules a lot better than us. And what I mean by that is like, okay, we have crosswalks and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
there's a button that you have to push in order to cross across the street or something like that. They actually use that. We don't we don't use that step over here. Like we'll actually walk across the street, but not like on the crosswalk. Over there, like you have to walk across. Like you don't have to, but like you see everybody doing it, so it makes you want to do it. Um, and yeah, but it's just a lot different. It's a crazy experience. I'm glad I got to experience. I'm gonna continue to experience it as long as I can. Um, just a lot different, but it's a lot exciting to just take things from over there and kind of bringing over here.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's definitely like you said. I mean, it's the experience of in and of itself, and I can totally when you talk about like they don't have to, the people are out there doing their thing. They don't have to look out for you. You got to look out for them and all that stuff. You don't know where people are coming from. I don't understand how people drive through certain parts overseas. It doesn't make sense to me how they can even like function. I'm like, they're gonna hit somebody, we're gonna die. I was like, I thought to myself, I'm like, I remember from watching that movie Top Five with Chris Rock. I was like,
Hmm.
if the Uber driver hits, if they get in an accident, you didn't get in an accident, so you get out the car and you leave. So, but it's one of those things where it was just it was. I looked at my dad at certain points. I'm like, what? I mean, this guy's gonna hit like they didn't even care. There's a baby
Yeah,
stroller. There's just like a woman just casually walking, and some people were nice, some people weren't, but it definitely, I will say this, the Mission Impossible movies and the Bourne Identity that had those little Italian cars going down them alleyways that could barely fit, that's a real thing. So
yeah.
I can say that to that. So, Sai, for you in your career though, how much, like, being in love with basketball, staying in love with basketball, you've gone through the ups and downs, you've gone through the culture shocks, the changes and whatnot. What can you say to the love for basketball? Does that continue? Do you still feel that when you have those moments of strife, have those moments of, this is a new place, I don't really like this food, or maybe I don't like how things are going here right now, or I miss home. Do you just kind of look at that basketball and say, hey man, ball is ball, and I'm just gonna pick this thing up and keep on loving it? Do you still have that passion?
For sure. Every time I feel like it never lost. I feel like every time I pick up a basketball or look at a basketball or watch it, that love is there. If not, it's even stronger. Those times that I do miss back home, what do I do? I used to go to sleep just to not think about it. Or I kind of would just like be on a game with my friends or be on the phone with my family. Like I would just try to find things to like kind of distract me from thinking like that I miss home, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, yeah, like you said, like basketball is it's not forever, so you have to take advantage of it. I know it's not forever. Like at some point, I'm gonna have to put the ball down. Um, so why not take advantage of the time that I am still bouncing the ball? You know, and not everyone has this opportunity. You know, I always tell myself that like yeah, it took a lot to get here. Yeah, it took a lot of hard work to get there. A lot of people, well, and in my saying, like nobody can be in your shoes, but like you still want to be like grateful that you are able to wear your shoes. You know, I feel like a lot of people miss that. Yeah, like you know, these opportunities don't just come. You know, the man above always has a plan for you. You just have to kind of um, trust him, and then you know, it's not just only trusting him; it's just believing in him. Um, Kind of just take like I said, just really just taking advantage of it. Not a lot of people have this opportunity. Um, but once I'm out there, once I'm bouncing the ball, once I'm on the court, everything kind of zones out. That love that I had when I was little, as a kid, that love for the game comes in, that competitiveness comes in. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. Like and you and I have talked about faith before and the importance of it. Symir Torrence here with me this morning, speaking on a bunch of different things in the world of basketball and the world of life in general. As you know, Wake Up Call is where sports meets life inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios. For you, your faith, what can you say to that effect? Your compass being your guide and being the one that you can lean on at all times when life has presented its challenges, when life has presented its positives, when you've had those moments where you're extremely happy or those moments where maybe you question a few things. How has your faith in God aided you, guided you, and been there for you through this process?
it's been stronger. Uh, I've gotten to worship him a lot stronger over there, just because I feel like I had to in a way. It was the perfect time to, you know. Um, Being away from family, you know, you kind of being away from mom. She's big in the church, so uh, kind of stepping into that like without someone having to like push you to worship him. You know, trying to find your faith in him, and I feel like that's what I did. When I was out there, I just tried to find out like you know more about him, and what he wants from me. Uh, and like I said, like that took me to where I am now. I feel like he always puts you in situations that he knows you can overcome and strive to be the best. And it's not going to be all glory. Like there are definitely some challenges. Um, and I feel like that's when you're supposed to believe him the most, is when things aren't going the way you want them to go. And I feel like he wants you to know that, you know. He's putting you in situations to see like that you can do it, you know. I feel like the best experience is your own experience, and I feel like he does that perfect. Like he puts you in situations for you to experience and for you to know that anything that you do can be done.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I'm going through, being away from family, making money on my own, seeing how far like this can actually take me, seeing how far I can actually go, how dedicated I am. And this is a life changer. Like I can I can play so well that I can come back and not work. So like this is an a lot. Like this is a one time experience. I can't like mess it up. Got to make the best of it. Um, but yeah, like I said, like my faith in him has only gotten stronger. And it's because I have been like reading his words more, just kind of listening to his worship. Um, yeah, it's just got me to where I am right now, and I'm blessed and lucky and thankful. So,
And like you said, I mean, it's when times are toughest that you have to believe the most. There's this mentality people have, right? I asked God for something, he didn't give it to me, so I guess he doesn't love me, I guess he doesn't exist. And it's in those moments where you have to really lean on him the most. And there is so much on the in I say this to people all the time and I have to remind myself of this. The moment that you want to give up, the moment you want to give in, the moment that you say it's too much, it's too hard, it's too tough, I can't breathe, I can't do this. It's like one more second, 7 more seconds right around the corner. God is waiting. And you just got to go a little bit farther. Like you said, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So few people have it, and you take it as far as you want to take it and go where you want to
mhm,
go. So for you, when you are out there, when you are doing this, and you're living this life. You're playing a sport that you played as a kid, as a professional. I mean, you've made it. You've gotten there. You are a pro. And what is that next piece look like? Because I've talked to plenty of guys, especially guys that have come through Syracuse that have played overseas, and some of them have made a long career of it. A lot of them have made a long career of it. Trevor Cooney did a lot of work over there. Johnny Flynn. I look at back in the day, you look at guys like Roosevelt Bowie, who made Italy home. And so many guys have found their way overseas and found a lot of successes there. And there's a lot of connection back to Syracuse. So for you, what is that next chapter, and where is it going to go? I mean, Demetrius Nichols, there's a bunch of guys that played in all different countries, and sometimes they went back to the same place. You build that bond, and sometimes it's a different place every year. Sometimes
mhm.
you don't know. Sometimes you're going to play in a place for a few months and then you're going to shift. So what does that next chapter look like? That next piece look like? Is there a place you want to go back to? Is there a place you plan to go back to? Where are you at right now as far as the next step?
Yeah, I feel like my goal since I was little, since I was a kid, was always to play in the NBA. I feel like that goal has never gone away. I don't think that's ever gonna go away. So if I can make it back to the states, that'd be great. Um, I know it's not just gonna happen. I got to work for it. But yeah, like that's the main goal. But while I'm over there, just kind of taking everything that I can from over there because they play a lot. It's a lot. It's a different game, and I see what people are talking about, like overseas and playing over there in the foreign countries is a lot different from the states. So taking what they know over there, taking what how they operate over there, and then kind of putting it into my own thing, and then bringing it back to the states. Um, that's like that's my next step too. Um, and then when the ball actually does stop bouncing, I'm gonna be able to coach, and I'm gonna take what my coaches over there have gave me and put it into my own coaching ability. So there's a lot of goals that I have, but those are my few and main goals. But my first goal is making it back over to the states. There's nothing like playing in front of family and friends, and you know making that dream come true as a little kid. But so
Well, and like you said, I mean, the hope and the desire to play in the NBA, and we know that there's a lot of avenues with that because, of course, there's the G League, there's teams within that, there's summer league that's going to be going on here and is going on here. So there's a lot to be said about that element of it. What can you do to build that bridge and build that connection when you are overseas? and you come back to the States and you do different things here. How are you trying to build that bond and, shake hands, meet people, tell them who you are? Because, I mean, you're very much a representative of yourself, right? You're the CEO of your life. So, how are you kind of utilizing that to have an opportunity to play
Yeah,
the States again?
yeah, being a sponge, soaking everything that you see, that you hear, um, into that sponge. Um, that's off the court and on the court, honestly. But on the court, making sure like that I'm dominating in the player that I am, the player that I want to be. So you look at uh, the championship team, OKC. Everybody has their specific role, so making sure my role for whatever team I'm on is dominating the other's role.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what OKC did successfully, and that's why they won. And they talk about them being young, but it wasn't even that. It was just they were like you can tell like on the court, off the court, like they were a team. They were all sponges. Like they didn't care who had the most points. And I heard Shay say this, even though he was the MVP of the league and the championship team, but
Yeah.
like they were together through everything, and um they didn't like separate or any of that. I feel like that's what that's what I feel like once you win collectively together, I feel like you're gonna achieve more individually once you win collectively, because that just brings you for like more opportunities. And I feel like that's where teams have to go first. Once you win, then it makes everything else a lot easier. And you're gonna see like maybe this team is gonna be here again next year, but like in a few years, all of these players that are on OKC are gonna be getting bigger contracts
Yeah.
for their families and for themselves. And that's one of the goals. Like you wanna make as much money as you can for your future. Um and I feel like they're doing a good job of it, you know. Um, but yeah, like I said, like being a sponge, being one of those guys, having that championship mindset, um, and then just sharing it, uh, just using my tools that I have, my listening skills, my connection skills. Um, yeah, I would say that.
Well, yeah, and the positivity. I still remember when I saw you last year, saw you and Syer at the airport. And,
Mhm.
I looked across and I think I know that guy. And you were looking at me and I was looking at you. I was like, is that, and then as soon as you smile, big old smile. And then I came over to you, you shook my hand. You're like, hey man, how are you? And within a second, you were like, is that your mom? And you just walked right by me and went over, gave my mom a hug. And to me, that speaks to who you are. It speaks to your character. It speaks to that positivity, because that's the first thing that I think about when I think of you. I think about that big smile. You can see it from a mile away, and then like immediately it was like, oh, okay, well, Dan and I are family. That's mom. I'm gonna go over and say hi to mom, and I feel like little things like that people don't think about, like, okay, you got to be talented, you got to be this, you got to be that, but you also, I mean, people want to work with people that they like to work with and they like to be around. And positivity is important, kindness is important, consistency is important. And I feel like when it comes to that, I mean, you and I spending time together and having a heart to heart a lot of times, and then just having that feel. And you've said it to me and we text about it all the time, and you're like, your family. And I feel the same way about you. And I feel when you build connections with people and you're one of those people that is consistent and kind, that yes, you have to have your talent, you have to have your work, but then when something comes up and somebody is looking for someone that is in this or in that or whatever, it's easy to turn around and go like, yeah, Cy, call him. He's somebody I think would be good to have out here as a coach. He's somebody I think would be good here to, to play. And there's people that you root for because you know the type of person that they are. They're a man of their word or a woman of their word. And so, I mean, I think, yeah, obviously basketball is basketball and you're out there doing your thing and having success with it. But I think on top of all of that, faith, being humble, being kind, not leading with your ego, being willing to meet new people, being positive, and even if you are exhausted and you've just had a day, to still be consistent in how you treat people. I think all of those things play into achieving what you want to achieve in your life.
Hmm. For sure, definitely. You hit a lot of points. Um, and each of those points, I feel like you have to have, and the consistency, the kindness are the main two. I feel like when you're kind, like just consistently kind, I feel like more things come back to you, you know?
Yeah,
Um
100%.
and it's not like the things that come back to you, they're not gonna be all like big things. Like they're gonna be little things that you're gonna need from time to time. Like I'm trying to think like something did like there's little things that keep happening to me that are like just positive, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, why does this keep happening? Like, but then I remember like how much kindness I've gave to people and stuff like that. So it's only the universe and God trying to just give it back, And I feel like it's just the circle of life, and I feel like that's what they have over there overseas. Not all places, but like I feel like a lot of places overseas are a lot nicer than than the states. So um I feel like if we can kind of take some of their juice, we'll be in a much better place as a nation.
Yeah. You talk about taking pieces of overseas, just the way that they do it. What is it that sticks out that is so different? Again, I mean, I'm fresh off of Italy, so I could definitely go with you on this trail, and my eyes have been, open more to this world because of seeing what's over in Europe. But what do you think America can learn from other places since you've been traveling to different places and playing?
That's a good question. I gotta really think about this one. What can I think we can take from them?
Number one, the ingredients, because the food is
Yeah.
healthier. And what people don't know, and Sai, you and I are very like we're philosophical. We go deep into stuff. Coke Zero in Italy, not the same as Coke Zero here. Like there's things that like there are people drinking. There's so many people drinking Coke Zero, drinking it in the morning, like all this stuff over there. But like ingredients to food, like you can get the same candy, like you said, you can get the same candy, and we think like companies that we know, like Doritos or whatever, like, oh, okay, like Doritos are Doritos. But if you get it overseas, and I'm using them as an example, not necessarily them being the case, but maybe we have 20 ingredients to Doritos in America. You get a bag of Doritos in Italy, and maybe it's got 7 ingredients because there's certain things that have been banned in certain places. There's things that people don't use, chemicals, dyes. And so America, we have things we've grown up and snacks that we know and drinks that we know. If you go to another part of the world, those snacks and those drinks might look the same, but they're not the same in a healthier way. And I think that that's something that sticks out to me. Like I told my dad, I'm like, I love Coke Zero, but it was different in Italy. It was just different. The portion was smaller. It was in a glass bottle, not in a plastic bottle. But there was just different things. And I feel like that's something that I've learned. Well, I don't feel like I know that's something that I've learned over these last couple of years is like, look at the ingredients of your favorite snack in America. Look at that same snack in a different country, and you could be dealing with a ton of different ingredients or less ingredients, which I think is wild because I thought everything was packaged the same and sent out the same.
Yeah, definitely the ingredients. I wondered, did you like it better, or was it like too much of a shock? And you're like, I'm not used to like tasting it this way.
I think the Coke Zero, like it tasted the same but different. Like it was more subtle, but I also feel like it just seemed like healthier. It didn't seem like typical soda. It just it to
Yeah,
me it was like I felt like I could drink more of it and not like feel the way that soda makes me feel in the States, in a sense. And so that kind of stuck out to me. I was like, why does this feel different? And I also remember like when we flew from Rome back to Atlanta before we came home to Syracuse. And when we flew to Atlanta, we got food. The first American ingredients and preservatives and all that stuff, the first American food that I had, my stomach was like, like my stomach started to twist and I was just like, yeah, that's not great. But like, no, man, like like I feel like, dude, eating pizza, like I had margarita pizza 3 days in a row from the same place, and I didn't feel like I like again, my body's not in bad shape by any stretch of the imagination, but it got in better shape, and I was sitting here going like, I ate pizza every day. I ate cheese. I ate what I wanted to eat and did the things that I wanted to do. But there was just something, my body didn't feel, like when you eat and you feel like bogged down, like you kind of
yeah,
feel like you almost, you eat for, you feel like, okay, I don't have a lot of energy. Let me eat. Like I need to eat. I need to sustain myself. And then you eat and you feel lethargic. You feel kind of like out of it. You feel heavy. You feel pulled down. I didn't really feel that in Italy.
yeah. Nah, I definitely agree with you. Like that's why cause I've been here for over like a little over a month now. Um, and it took me a while to like start eating like the food here because it didn't take like it wasn't, and I was over there for 9 to 10 months, so
Yeah.
I've definitely adjusted to that lifestyle they had over there, and kind of coming back and then eating like the chicken wings, the food that I was accustomed to eating over there, it wasn't the same, and it didn't feel the same, and I felt kind of a little slow, like um, I was starting to get like nauseous a little bit, and I had a lot of headaches. So it just took a while, and it's kind of it's scary to like to experience it because you kind of want to really know like what do we actually put in our food over here, and they talk about it a lot over there too. Like they tell us like the food that you guys have aren't like isn't good. The medicine that you guys take isn't good, like all of that stuff. I'm like learning and listening, like I'm like wow, they're like this is crazy. So
Well, and the thing is like, people call anytime you have any thought that's different from the norm these days in America, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're crazy, there's something going on. But like the more I pay attention, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna look a little bit closer to this. Like I'm not, and I'm the type of like I'm my grandmother's grandson in a lot of ways, in the sense of like how we live, and she was not about taking a pill for anything if she didn't have to, not even taking an Advil, and she lived to be just shy of 101. Like I I feel like you have to be more enlightened and more cognizant and really lean on your faith and trust in God. And people might think this sounds crazy if you don't, but like I always pray a prayer, two prayers. God, guide me and guard me. Guide me toward you, what you want for me. Guard me from what's not you, what you don't want for me. And may your will be greater than my want. So if I
mm-hmm.
really want something and it's not good for me, don't let me have it. And, I think my relationship is so close with God that even when it comes to like little things with food, drink, something like that, like I can feel that inside of me, him going like, no, no, don't do that. And coming back to the States, it's so weird. I'm gonna say two things. I know you're gonna smile when I say this, but I can say whatever I want. I'm single. But like I I I definitely could have stayed in Napoli. I could have stayed in Napoli and ate margarita pizza from the same place every day and just stared at those beautiful, wonderful women. Like that, you know, dude. 5 minutes in Napoli, beautiful, 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 extremely beautiful,
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful. My dad's like, how the women look. I was like, dude, I couldn't. There's nobody out here that's. I mean, they're all. They weren't tens. They were 12, 15, 30. But like,
Yeah.
you know, I told my dad, I said, you know what? You go home, you leave me here. I said, I got my food. There's plenty of women out here. And, you know, if I strike out 10 times, there's 10 more pretty women coming down the pipe in about 3 minutes. So, yeah, there's something about being overseas. And man, I'm Italian and I'm Hispanic. So my family came from Italy and Spain. And so, I mean, why shouldn't I marry somebody from one of them places? So, yeah, I think what I've definitely learned from being overseas is I got one word. Damn.
That's a good one. I like that. That's a good one. That's good. Hey, if you like it, I love it. That's good. That's good. I can't speak too much on it. You know, I got a girl over here. I'm in love, but hey, I'm happy for you. But I was in my phone. I was listening, but I had to see. This is
Yeah.
something that I ate over there. I don't know if you can see it really well, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like I would compare it to like core life in a
Okay.
way.
Okay.
Because core life is a lot healthier. I think core life is the closest thing to food over there in a way. So there's this place called Eat Well. It's in Belgium. I was eating it, if not every day, every other day, but I was definitely eating it every day. You can ask my girlfriend, you can ask my mom. Like I was eating it every day. You can ask the players that I was with. Like they
Yeah.
would ask me like, "What you eating today?" I would be like, "I'm going to eat well." Like it was just so good. Like it filled me up. It was good. It was healthy. It had protein. It had shit. Like there were shakes there. I got protein shakes there. I got some smoothies. Like it just it was good. And what I would usually get in my bowl was brown rice, chicken, roasted chicken, peppers, um, corn, and then from time to time I would like switch it up and throw tomatoes in there and throw like mushrooms in there. But I wouldn't have that like all the time. But it was just so good, and I just had to show you. So that
Yeah.
was something I would eat every day.
And I appreciate it very much so. And our conversations always go to all different places. And, you know, here we are talking about basketball and that creating the opportunity for you to go overseas, but we're really leaning on the food and all that.
Mhm.
So, being back home, two-part question, well, actually, three-part question. So, being back home, what's the food that you are so happy that you're back here for? So, that food that you missed that you're just so happy to be back with is number one. Number two, speak with me on what's been going on in the Central New York hoop scene because I know you had yourself some nice play here recently. And then I want to talk about Laynes Hope. So three-part question: food that you're happy you're back with, what you've been doing lately in Central New York in the hoop scene, and Laynes Hope.
Food. I don't. I just had like I had my everybody has taste buds, so I just had like what is it called? Like I was craving like Chick-fil-A. I
Okay.
was craving Gannon's ice cream. Like I just had like a little crave for like a little bit of everything. But Chick-fil-A, Gannon's, and Chinese food was like those three.
Okay. All right.
Um, and that obviously mom's cooking, but like I'm not gonna stop craving that. Like I crave that every day, like even when I'm here. So
Yeah. No,
um
I feel that.
basketball. So I took a little break, obviously, when I got back. Legs was feeling heavy. It was my first year overseas. Made it farther. Well, I didn't expect to go that far only because the first place that I was at in Finland, we we made playoffs and then I kind of transferred to another league, um, and then I had some more months with this team. So I was over there from August to May. And usually, like people say, like your first year, like is it's rough, but you don't usually play for that long. And they were telling me like it's good that you played for that long because now you got to experience what it's like, kind of see like where your legs get heavy, kind of get to navigate. So I'm glad I got to experience that. And you kind of want to play for that long because it's more money. It shows that you're winning, you're on a winning team. And I mean, if you the longer you stay over there, it's just the better that you're doing, you know. Um, so, but as far as like me doing basketball over here, so I've been working out every morning, whether that's training some kids. If I do train kids, I'll lift afterwards after training them. If I don't train kids in the morning, I'll like make a couple shots, do little things, but lift. Like I said, like I've been watching LeBron a lot and a lot of NBA athletes and just taking care of your body. And I feel like lifting does a lot for you. So that aspect, my dad has been getting on me about my pull-ups, push-ups, and dips. So just been doing that. And then like early evening or late nights, I'm always in the gym working out, working on my craft, making sure everything that's sharp is sharpened. Because you don't want to lose like your tools. Everybody has tools in their toolbox, but everybody's tools aren't the same. So just making sure my tools are my tools. You know, they're sharpened, they're shiny, they're sharp. So that's just what I've been doing every day. You know, I am in the pro-am up here, always Salt City. Shout out to Mike Sugo. He's done a good job with this league. He's been doing it for 15, I want to say 15 years. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry, but he's been doing it for a long time. I appreciate him for this. It really brings like the basketball community and kind of the inner city together.
Yeah.
So been doing that. I play every Thursdays. I'm not gonna be here this week because I'm going out of town to Tennessee to train, and kind of get ready for this TBT and overseas again. But yeah, everything's been good. I'm starting to get back into the routine of things. I've been at it probably almost a month now. I took a little break. I took about a week, 2 weeks off when I got back, which was well needed. Kind of just to sit back, see where I was, see where what I did and stuff like that, and then kind of attack what I needed to attack. And you said the last thing you said, Laynes Hope, yeah. TBT. Yeah. So this will be. So last year I played with Herkimer Originals. They asked me again. I declined it because I thought I was actually gonna play for Binghamton's Army because I did get in contact with them. They just didn't get back in contact with me, which was fine. You know, I was waiting. I was playing the waiting game. And then I just had a feeling that they weren't going to contact me back. So then I was like, all right, I'm just not going to play in the TBT. I'm just going to work my craft out, work kids out, kind of just get better. And I was actually going to go to the games regardless because they were here. And then Laynes Hope, I think I'm very positive that it was Jimmer Fredette's team, and they kind of gave the sponsorship to someone else, someone that's local here. So luckily they asked me to play, and one of those coaches on the team is James Jones, a really good friend of mine. He's the head coach of JD. And Mike Sugo actually is the general manager. So he's the GM of the TBT team, and he has his pro-am in Syracuse, so that kind of works out together.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple guys, local guys from Syracuse that's playing on the team. So why not, play with these guys and then get a chance to play in front of your home base again, and then maybe get a chance to play against Beheim's Army. So
Yeah, and I'm looking at the roster that you have here, and obviously Luke Sutherland, good friend of yours, good friend of mine. He'll be on this team as well, and just Jeff Ledbetter, and looking at some of these other names, Jalen Hawkins, and some of the guys that'll be here. Laynes Hope, for those that don't know, the logo is a dog with the spikes, and it says Laynes Hope plays on behalf of Lane, a young man with Prader-Willi syndrome, and his organization that create homemade dog toys and donate to local animal rescues in upstate New York. So, a lot of good stuff here, good message, good opportunity, and like you said, maybe an opportunity to go up against Beheim's Army. When we look at the brackets, you are going to be facing off, you'll be in this Syracuse region, and Laynes Hope is the 5 seed. They will play the 4 seed. We are D3. That game is going to be July 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And also on July 19th, we will see Beheim's Army, the number 1 seed, face off against the Herkimer Originals, who you mentioned before, the number 8 seed, and they will play at 6 p.m. So if Beheim's Army wins and Laynes Hope wins, you will play in the second rounds. So all you got to do is win a game to see Beheim's Army and some of the guys from Syracuse history. So could be some good stuff coming up here. Hoping that it will be. We're going to play some rapid fire before we hop out of here. So Cy, you can ask me any question in the world. You and I know each other. We're family. I consider you a brother, as we always talk about. So we talked about a lot of things up to this point, but it can go anywhere. What do you got for me?
So now that you've told me and I've seen and heard that you've been in Italy, um, what's something that you wish you saw or experienced over there, besides the food? Because we talked about food a lot. What's something that you experienced and saw over there that you wish we had over here?
The women. No, I'm kidding. So-
And that's a good one, yeah.
no, I would say, man, besides the food, I would say I climbed a mountain in Maddaloni, where my dad's family's from, just outside of Naples, and climbing that mountain, I would love to be able to kind of just do that every day or do it once a week. That mountain really means a lot to me. It was the first mountain that full on. I've climbed things before, but never climbed anything like that. And it was to the Stations of the Cross. So I'm in my family's home. I'm climbing a mountain to the Stations of the Cross, rewalking Jesus's step, every step that he took. And as you go up the mountain, narrow is the path to heaven. So the path gets more and more narrow. And I'm not kidding you, as I'm walking up this path and grass is covering certain areas and it's not necessarily steps anymore, it's just rocks, a butterfly would come into my path, fly in front of me, guide me up the right path. Then another butterfly would come take its place, and they guided me up to the top. And when you get to the top, it's like heaven. You're like overlooking everything. It was above other mountains. It's totally silent. There's only a few people up there, and the ground is absolutely beautiful. There's an indoor and outdoor church. And I went there, I got down on my knees and I prayed and I talked with God as I always do. And I realized that one of the things that I've said to myself for years that has always helped me get back to me and centering myself, that thing that I've been saying to myself was leading me toward this mountain for years. So when people say, "Oh, I don't believe in God," I said something years ago and have utilized it to help me in my life. That one thing that I say to myself bonded to this mountain. I never knew I was going to be in Italy. I never knew this was going to happen. I never knew I was going to climb a mountain. I never knew I was going to be to the Stations of the Cross. I never knew it was going to be in my family's home. So, how could that all be a coincidence that the thing that I was saying to myself was the thing that I said in prayer. And when I said it to God at the top of that mountain, I started crying. And I looked out and I was like,
Wow.
like you really are, you really are amazing. And I made a promise to him that just as he died on that cross and rose from the dead, I will let certain things die at his feet of that cross and not take them with me in my life. And
That's
so
deep. I
everything
like.
that's come from there has challenged me to be a better person, be better to myself, and it is a living testament and will I let that mountain mean something, or will I just revert back to old habits and not necessarily taking care of myself? And so, my challenge as I climb the mountain, the challenge today and every day is, will that mountain mean something?
Yeah.
So I would say that.
That's what. That's. I'm glad that you got to experience that. That's amazing. That's amazing.
But that was
Wow, I can picture it too when you were telling me like the butterflies and running up the mountain and then the church, you praying on your knees. Like I can actually see it and picture it. That's amazing.
well, the thing that was crazy is that you're going up this thing and you're wondering, like, is there anybody up there? Because you
Yeah,
don't really see anybody. I saw two people coming down, and then I heard like this one guy was listening to music when you were farther up. But when you get to the top and you're up there, it is kind of like heaven because they say, narrow is the path, and there was so few people up there. There was like one dog, and I'm looking out over Mataloni. I'm looking out over this entire town where my family's from, and I'm thinking to myself, there was times where I was walking up and, it's to the Stations of the Cross. My dad called me and my dad was like, we got to get a train. So you don't have to, he's like, you walked up far enough. You don't have to keep going. I said, Dad, I got to finish. And he was like,
yeah,
well, he's like, you don't have to. I said, I'm not going to say, hey, God, I did part of the path. Are you proud? And I knew something inside of me was like, if you do not walk all the way to the cross with Jesus, you're going to dream about this and have night sweats until you fly back to Italy and you finish this mountain. And when I was walking up the mountain, I would get tired. It was hot. I had a little bag with me, but I didn't have a cross. I wasn't beaten. I mean, in a way, I did have a cross, but I'm not carrying this giant wooden cross. I haven't been beaten. I haven't been whipped. I haven't been spit on or stones thrown. I have no crown of thorns on my head. And every time I stopped, I was like, Jesus, how did you do this? And I would stop and I would say, God, give me strength. Give me your strength. And something inside of me would just take over. Whenever I asked him for strength, he would literally put it in my chest and I would go. And right before I got to the top of the mountain, I said, God, give me your strength. And I literally looked up and I full speed ran. And I don't know where any of that energy came from. It was from him. And he got me up that mountain. And I will tell you, like, figuratively and literally, climb your mountains, conquer your fears, address and face head on the demons that are trying to get into your world. There was somebody I heard said this recently. They said the best way to fight the devil, the best way to fight a demon is to turn around and look right at them. And that day I did. And I just challenge people to do that. Face your problems, face your worries, face your doubts, face your negative self talk, face everything that you're doing to stand in your own way and challenge yourself to be better, because the mountains that you climb and the mountains that you accomplish, like, they can change your life. And so many people settle in the valley. And I will tell you, you have to climb the mountain. You have to do it. And unless you do it, you will not accomplish things in your life. And God will keep making you take the same test over and over again until you pass. And so that mountain for me was placed there on purpose. God knew I was going to find it. He knew I was going to see the Station of the Cross. He knew I was going to walk, and He knew I wasn't going to quit. And He put that there so that I could finally get past things that I was just really struggling to get past. And I would tell anybody, when God puts you at the bottom of that mountain, climb it, don't complain, and then when you learn something, don't stop learning that thing. I think we learn stuff and then we forget. and I can close my eyes and go right back to that mountain and be at the top of that mountain and be looking out over the other mountains and say to myself, okay, you know what it's like to get here. Are you doing what you promised God you were going to do?
That's
So,
amazing.
so my question back to you, Sai, is what mountain, figuratively or literally, do you feel like you have climbed in the past year?
You know, I always go hiking, but I've never really gone up a mountain.
Okay.
So I feel like that, and I want to experience that one day because I like the hike, I like the walk, I like nature. Um, the butterflies kind of got me like antsy. Like I love nature. Like I love God's creatures. I love God's animals. Um,
Yeah.
so that's gonna be on my to do list before the end of this year's over. Is to walk up a mountain, and I'll let you know how that mountain goes when I do walk up it. So I appreciate you sharing that because that's something that's gonna be with me forever. That story is gonna be with me forever. I like that story. I like that what you did and how you felt um and just like your relationship with God. Like it explains a lot in just a little short story. So um thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, man, of course. Always. I appreciate our conversations, as you know. And, if you make that, when you make that decision to climb that mountain, you let me know. And if we can climb it together, then we'll climb it together.
Yes, sir.
So,
Appreciate
of
it.
course. Hey, never a bad time to climb a mountain. What's your last
Never.
question for me?
Last question. Last. Are you going to? I'm just gonna. Are you going to be at the TBT? Is there any way that I can get you there? Because if I need to get you there, I can get you there.
So I will be at the TBT, and so I know. So here's the thing, the timing of it is the only thing that I'm thinking about. So I will be there on July 19th, but on July 21st, I have to fly out to
Is that the
Charlotte.
second round?
Yeah, so I think that it's going to end up being the second round, either the 20th or the 21st. So the 21st, I have to fly out to the ACC kickoff and the American kickoff. They're both in Charlotte, thank God. So it's like God put them in the same place because I've been traveling to both for years. And then I looked at it twice for the American. And I was like, that doesn't say Charlotte. And then I looked up at God and I was like, okay, obviously, I know these people made their decisions and did what they needed to do, but you did this for me. So I get to, because literally like one of the days they cross, and so I have to go from one to the other, which was like hopping a flight. Now I literally have to leave one hotel and go to another hotel, and I think they're probably hopefully like a couple minutes to each other, so I'm not going to miss much. I'm hoping, and I know by the grace of God I won't. So the 19th I will be at your game, and then I just would love for you guys to play on the 20th, because on the 21st, depending on when I have to fly out and when the games are, that's the thing that affects it. Because I was like, man, I know the TBT's coming up, and I reached out to them, and so they're like, you're good to go. But then I was hoping, I'm like, please be before I leave, because I was like, is it June? Is it July? And on the 21st, because the event's all week long, I do have to leave on the 21st. So I'm hoping that the next round is the 20th. I'm not 100% sure. But if you're on the 21st, then I have to like watch virtually, which I'm sad but I'm happy because I love going down to Charlotte, but I know that I'll be there the 19th.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cuz y'all need to win, and then you need to face Bayheim's army, and then I need to see that. And that's when I need to see my guy go off. And then I mean just be Cy. Do your thing, 20 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, and then just turn and just look at the bench and be like, you could have had this. You could have. I mean, it could have been yours. So, but my last question for you, Cy, is hmm, what is the greatest lesson that God has taught you in 2025 so far?
Um That's a good one. Greatest lesson, greatest lesson, greatest lesson. I'll say two things. So one is to just never doubt yourself. I
Yeah.
feel like he always puts that in me. Um, just because of what I've been through, and everybody's been through things and different obstacles and stuff like that. But I feel like for me specifically, I have so many like ideas, and they're not for me. I feel like uh, he appreciates what I do for others, and he doesn't want me to doubt myself in that process. So I feel like him telling me that uh, to have no doubt in what I do. I feel like that's one thing, and the other thing that kind of um, includes this is uh, continue to like be myself and be no and to not be anybody else. Just because of um, like who I am and like just hearing you talk and how people talk so much kindness about me, like just to be yourself and people love you for who you are. So I feel like my biggest lesson is to just be myself and not be anybody else, and to continue to put kindness in others. I feel like that's my biggest lesson that he gave me he gives me. So
Yeah. Well, I love that. Be kind to yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Believe in you. I agree with all that. And I love what you said, and it shows who you are too. When you said, can I get you to the TBT? If I have to get you there, I'll find a way to get you there. And so, I mean, I will definitely be there. I mean, we can make it like a WWE thing. When they come out and announce you, I can come out with a suit and a briefcase and be your agent. I mean, I don't care what we got to do. But Cy, definitely looking forward to seeing you. And my man Luke. Haven't seen
yeah,
Luke in a minute. So very much looking forward to that and to the Salt City and what's going on. I know there was a post recently that said like got back to the old Cy and whatnot when you just went off at the Salt City. So definitely looking forward to everything you've been doing. Appreciate your world in basketball, but more than anything else, I appreciate your friendship and what we've built. And every time we have these conversations, they just they unfold life.
hmm
And it's always hard to be like, oh man, I gotta stop the conversation and tell him I'll talk to him in a little bit. But you and I will get up now that you're back here. Let's try and make some time for each other, and hopefully before the ball tips for Laynes Hope in the TBT, you and I can grab some lunch or do something together because our conversations are awesome, but the ones that we get to have in person are better.
for sure. I appreciate you as always.
All right, man. Well, listen, I will talk with you soon. And I don't know. I got to ask you this: what gum have you been chewing? Because I will say this to you right now: the
My breath,
what is it?
my breath was hot.
But I'm saying like the gum that you've been chewing because like you've been chewing it the whole time all the way through, and I don't know any gum that keeps its flavor. So is this gum dead right now, or did you put another piece
Nah,
in?
it actually has a little bit of flavor. I forgot what brand is this? It's an old brand and it's very strong. If
Okay.
you like would try to name it, I could probably tell you, but I don't have it off the top of my head right now.
Because I know like Big Red and Dentine, when it comes to cinnamon, like they will hold their flavor, but
Not those.
yeah, what is the one? Uh, the fruit stripes, the zebra stripe ones, that holds its
Not that one
flavor
either.
for literally like 1 second. Like you
Yeah,
taste it, is gone. So I
yeah.
know it's not Bubblicious. It's not Bubble Yum. No, it's not that. So Bubblicious, man, back in the day, it was like the gum was the name of was like a heavy set rapper, Bubblicious. But like but I love Bubblicious. But yeah, man, we'll keep in touch. And you got to tell me what gum that is because I can't find gum to keep its flavor anymore. So, but
I got you.
we'll talk soon. All right, I love you, man.
All right, love you too. Appreciate you as always.
Of course, I'll talk to you soon. See you.
Okay, take care.
You too. coming from Symir Torrence here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And that's friendship, that's relationships, man. That's what Wake Up Call is about. If you're watching and listening for the first time ever, this is what we do every day. We're about building relationships, building bridges, not burning them, making connections, bringing people together, and laughing, talking about God, smiling, sometimes crying, right? Sometimes having that emotion, right? And being able to show that emotion and not being afraid to. These conversations, they enrich my life, they fill my heart, they bring peace to my mind, and they mean the world to me. So I'm happy that you're here to see it. We got another great one coming up next, so don't you go anywhere. In just a moment, for those of you that have been so patient, Kyle Borshoff, his special in the Bearcat Breakroom inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here all throughout the week, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, we are here inside an all-new Bearcat Breakroom, and the Bearcat Breakroom is inside of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats. It's been my honor and my privilege to be able to speak with the man who is picture-in-picture with me over these last couple of years, Kyle Borshoff, as well as the student-athletes of the Binghamton wrestling program. I'm happy and I'm sad right now. I'm happy because Kyle is stepping into a new chapter in his life. I'm happy for what that's going to be for him and his father and the quality time that he'll be able to spend, which I think anybody can tell you is something that is second to none and cannot be replaced by anything else. I'm sad because I absolutely positively respect and appreciate everything that he has done with this Binghamton Bearcats wrestling program. And as you know, in this Bearcat Breakroom and in our partnership with Binghamton, we have had so many student athletes on here over the last couple of years that have done a tremendous job with this team inside of the EIWA and nationally. So I can't say enough about the work that the student athletes have done as well as the coaching staff. And I know he'll probably defer to someone else, but I blame him for a lot of the success here. So with that being said, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, Mr. Borshoff, how are we doing?
I'm good, Dan. Thank you for having me on here. This is it's been a busy day. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing and kind of caught a lot of people by surprise intentionally. My team returned today, and I tried to keep a lid on this until I could speak with them in person. That's the way I like to operate, and didn't want to send around text messages and do the phone call thing when I knew my guys would be here in person in Binghamton and I could tell them. So I'm thankful for you having me on and happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, just what went into this decision and how you got to this point. Like you said, you got a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages, and you were not surprised at people being surprised. So would love to get your thoughts on all of this.
Sure, yeah. There's a lot that's gone into it. It's something that my wife and I have talked a lot about. We have 3 young kids. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a baby girl that was born in April. So my 5-year-old's going to start kindergarten this fall. From a timing perspective, a lot of that made sense. If we were going to make a move to do it now when the kids were still young. I have the great fortune that my father has been running a business for pretty much 50 years, and I'm going to be able to step into a role working for him. I'll be able to spend more time with him and my mom, and my kids will get to spend more time with them. So that was something that we've been thinking about quite a bit. And, I realized that I'm unbelievably lucky to have so many great opportunities. My job here has been amazing. I love the people that I've gotten to spend time with and develop relationships with. And I'm fortunate that I have another opportunity that I'm also very excited about. Something I've been dabbling in for a while. I got licensed to sell real estate during COVID when we were basically told, stay away, don't come into work. I got my real estate sales license, and I've been working in that industry for a few years, just kind of alongside my coaching job. And it's actually what I studied in college. I was a business administration major with a focus in real estate finance. So something I've always been passionate about and interested in, and gonna jump 2 feet into it and see where it takes us.
So, I mean, like you said, following a passion, following something that you studied in college makes a lot of sense and is a beautiful thing. Why right now in this moment? I know you talked about your dad and spoke about your family and obviously being a father, but what else goes into you feeling like this was the right time to do it? Because like you said, there is a shock, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of success with this wrestling program, and I was thinking that you were only going to trend upward with you being at the helm of this. So at this moment in time, even more so to go a little bit deeper into it for you personally, why are you okay stepping away, fully knowing that there's been so many great things, and I anticipate there to be more when it comes to this program?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it comes down to a couple different things. One is that I'm happy with the things that my team has accomplished. I'm happy with the culture that we were able to develop and maintain throughout my time here. We brought in the right people. I surrounded myself with amazing student athletes, assistant coaches, and I'm just happy with where I got the program to. I think that combined with, it's no secret, the NCAA is changing drastically and quickly. I don't particularly like a lot of things that the NCAA is doing personally, not to speak about wrestling, but just generally. I don't like a lot of the decisions that are happening in the organization. So I think that with that being said, it makes sense to me, instead of hanging on and kind of wading through the different stuff that's going on, it made more sense for me to step back and become a fan and allow somebody else that's passionate and willing and ready to jump 100% into basically some of the things that we don't always know what they're going to look like. And that's not necessarily a Binghamton thing. That's just something that you see across the landscape if you're paying attention to college sports. A lot of stuff's changing, and I don't really want to keep up with those changes. So I figured it was a good time to move on.
Well, and like you made mention of, there is a lot of changes that are going on in collegiate athletics. There is the House settlement, which is going to create roster limits for schools that decide to opt into this. There's different conferences that want to opt in. There's conferences that maybe won't opt in. There is, of course, the autonomy group of the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, and somehow the PAC, even though it hasn't really been the PAC, but somehow they get involved in this as well. And their logo was still on the college football playoff this past season, even though they only had 2 teams in their conference. So we're living in this world where they had to agree to it, right? $20.5 million going to be set aside for student athletes, essentially getting paid to play, which is what they told us it would never become. And I did my research on how it was going to break down on average. And of the $20.5 million, over $18 million for schools that have football and basketball will go to football and men's basketball, leaving about $2 million for all of the other sports. And it trickles all the way down to beach volleyball that might get $8,000 some odd dollars, under $9,000. So you got $2 million deals going to a quarterback, and you have less than $9,000 going to an entire team when it comes to beach volleyball. This doesn't help Olympic sports like wrestling. It doesn't honor the student side of student athlete. It doesn't honor the education. It doesn't honor responsibility. It doesn't honor commitment. It doesn't honor competition and staying and being accountable. So, I mean, I think ultimately, am I against student athletes getting anything? No. But the parameters put around this and the way that it has become, basically what I told people was, if you take the haves and you take the have-nots, and then you look at the House settlement and you look at where we are in NIL space, the haves are still the haves, the have-nots are still the have-nots, and the only thing that's changed is that the collegiate model is now more expensive. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what you said hit the nail on the head. Right, a lot of the nitty gritty and the numbers talk, you got to go way above my pay grade, right? You got to get in touch with these ADs and administrators that are going to have to work through that stuff. I coach a wrestling program. Yeah. I have been fortunate to coach a wrestling program at a university that I still do believe represents what the NCAA should be. I think that Binghamton athletics represents what a student athlete should be. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that when I got involved in college wrestling as an athlete myself, I had a scholarship. I got paid. I got an education that other people were paying $50,000+ for per year. Yeah. And I didn't have to pay for it, right? So, and I got to wrestle to do that. I love the idea of student athletes. I love the idea of providing opportunities to people of all different backgrounds, from all different places, opportunities that they may never have been able to have or achieve without college sports. I was one of them. I never would have been accepted or admitted into American University without wrestling. I was not an amazing student, and I loved the fact that there was a way that I was able to be a part of a university that was probably should have been out of my reach, but because I was very good at something, I got an extra opportunity, and I made the best of that situation. And that's one of the things that I really liked about college sports. And I think that we have that at Binghamton. I think that's been a big part of the way I've recruited. We recruit student athletes. We recruit kids that want to get great educations. We recruit kids that want to be successful after they're done. So I don't want to, act like I know what's happening anywhere with the House settlement. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm super educated about it. But what I would say is that I know things are changing, and I know that because of the changes that are happening with the NCAA, it just seemed like a good time for me to move on. And like I said, just allow somebody else to come in and start navigating those things as they have to. And maybe they never will, right? Maybe at Binghamton, that won't need to be navigated. I don't know, right? That's something for people more important than me to figure out.
Well, like you said, I mean, you've noted the change and you've seen what could be. And you said that, Binghamton, a student athlete, is still a student athlete, and you appreciate what Binghamton's doing. So when you look at the current state of affairs in the collegiate model and what it is and what it was and what it's becoming, being at a school that cares about the student and student athlete, that is a public Ivy League school, one of the top 10 in the nation, when you see the world changing in collegiate athletics, but you see that Binghamton is trying to stay on the outside of that chaos, did that weigh? I mean, you said it's a good time for you to move forward into this next chapter, and you see all the change happening. But being at a school where it isn't as prevalent and it's still focused on education, is when you say, it was a good time for you, was it not so much Binghamton as it was maybe what the entire world of wrestling was going to look like, or how the NCAA was going to look as a whole by and large when you are competing?
Yeah. So, again, I don't want to speak too much to what Binghamton's doing, right? I think Eugene Marshall, the athletics director, has done a great job with our athletics department, and he leads the department. And I think that, the decisions that are going to be made are Gene's decisions. I don't want to speak like I have any insider knowledge of what's happening. I don't. I know that I trust the decisions Gene's made while I've been here, and I think he's going to continue to do great things at Binghamton. But, I do think that what the NCAA used to be and what I loved about college sports is changing. And I don't want to say that it's like directly impacting me personally, but I will say that I'm ready to just be a fan. I'd like to sit and watch and enjoy being able to see wrestling matches. I hope that there's wrestling opportunities in the future that exist for my kids if they want them, or if there's swimming or track or anything like that for my kids. And I don't want to seem like I have answers to some of these things we're talking about right now. I don't. I just know that I had an opportunity to move back home to work with my dad. And I think it's something that made sense for us as a family because of, I guess, the unknown, right? So it's like, I don't know anything. And I think that's a bit of a different thought than I would have had 15 years ago, right? As a young coach, I thought I knew what the NCAA was. I thought I knew what the rules were. I thought I knew what rules everybody had to follow. And when coaches from other schools start calling my guys that are on my team actively, they're not following the same rules that I thought existed, right? And like, there's just different stuff happening that I don't really want to worry about, right? So it's like, I have this chance to do something new, something that I'm excited about. I love my time at Binghamton. I'm thankful for everyone I had an opportunity to work with here. And I'm hoping that they have way more success in the wrestling program than I've had, right? That's my wish. That's my wish for where I went to college. It's my wish for Binghamton. I want schools like Binghamton. I want schools like American University to be successful in athletics. I want to watch them beat Iowa. I want to watch them beat Michigan and Penn State. I think anytime you see a smaller school beat a team like that, you can be really, really proud of that moment. And I think that I'll always be a fan of Binghamton athletics, and I'll always cheer them on when they're playing against some of the schools that have bigger brands or athletics departments. And I think that Binghamton will keep growing over the next several years. And I'm excited to watch what happens here.
Yeah, like you said, Kyle, I mean, you competed on the mat and you've coached for almost 2 decades. So, I mean, I know that's got to be difficult to step away from, but you said, I want to watch. I want to be a fan. I want to get back to that, get back to why you got into it in the first place. I think people assume that they know what a coach does, and when the season's off, they're like, oh, you're probably on vacation. You're probably doing nothing. You're probably, walking the dog and this and that. But the reality of it all is a good coach, a great coach, is always coaching, right? You're always recruiting. You're looking at your scheduling. And even beyond all of this stuff, when it comes to a match or what's going on, these are an extension of your family. I mean, these kids become an extension of you. So if one of them is struggling in school, they can call you. If they got a problem at home, if something happened, they break up with somebody, they, are just going through a tough time. And when you build relationships with these kids, it's an everyday thing. And so it's an everyday commitment. It's a 3 a.m. commitment. It's a 4 in the afternoon. It's 8 a.m. It could be at any given time. So, I mean, to speak to kind of two different things. One, the fact that the life of a coach is never really done if you care about relationships. And beyond that, the fact that you get to return to being a fan again, which is why we all get into it, right? I mean, I'm a fan of sports first, or I'm not doing this. You're a fan of sports first, or you're not coaching. So just what it's like to be a 24-hour coach. And then secondly, the excitement of being able to just watch a match, which I'm sure that, I mean, it's been a very long time that you could just watch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think there's a lot to that question, right? And one of the things that's funny, the people that have been reaching out to me today and the posts I've seen, and several of them mention, retirement from coaching or whatever, right? And I've seen that phrase a handful of times, Kyle Borshoff, retirement from coaching. And I'll never be retired from coaching, right? I am a coach. It's what I've done for 20 years. I don't retire from being a coach. I won't retire from being an athlete. And I'll always be around for my guys if they need me. And they know that. So they can call me tomorrow. They can call me in 6 weeks. They can call me next year. And I will still be their coach and help them with anything they need, right? So there is no retirement from coaching. It's always a lifelong endeavor, and it never stops. So as you're saying, even, right, the 3 a.m. Text message that there was an issue or trouble, and fortunately, I haven't had those, right? My guys are awesome, and I can't say that enough. My guys do a great job making it so that I avoid a lot of those extra hours messages. And I'm thankful for that. And the 24/7 coach thing, it's not 24/7, right? It's 24/7 for the rest of my life now. If one of my guys calls me at 3 a.m. and 2 years from now, and he needs me for something, I'll answer the phone. It's that's what it is for me.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And then just being a fan, right? It's years ago, when I started having success in this sport, one of my coaches said to me, he said, you can't be a fan if you're going to be a competitor. And I've kind of lived by that mantra for the past 20 years. Don't be a fan of anybody because I need to beat that person. And whether it was me personally or me as a coach, there's no time to be a fan. And I am excited to now be a fan and step back a little bit and go to the EIWA championships next year, hopefully, which are at my alma mater, and go to the NCAA championships and bring my kids and not have to be stressed out for 3 straight days of wondering how it's going to go and what's going to happen. So I'm excited for some of those moments to have as a person that truly loves the sport of wrestling.
Well, and to your note here, I'm going to do this right on the top as we're doing this. So I'm going to put upon his stepping away, but always coaching, and the thing is it was weird for me to read that too, because I can't really see you as retired, right? I can't really see that notion of it. I mean, we look at it and we see closing out the career. Like you said, we see the word retirement, but I don't get that vibe from you. And you said, you're always going to be a coach. There's certain coaches that have told me like, hey, Dan, I'm retiring, or this is happening. I'm stepping away from this, whatever it may be. I remember one of the coaches that called me. I remember exactly where I was. And I said, call me in 20 minutes when you become a coach again. And sure enough, less than a year later, he was like, hey, Danny, I'm going to do this. And then he quickly became a head coach again. And then he was competing for championships. And so I wasn't surprised at all. But like you said, I mean, this world of getting to see the EIWAs in a different way, to just be able to see it from the stands and to see the NCAAs, to bring your family and to really get to experience that, because of you and because of your team, I've learned about EIWA. I didn't know anything about it before. And I get to know more about it over these last couple of years because of you, because of this Binghamton wrestling program. So I'd love to share that, because there's so much history. It obviously got split into, divisions within this conference this year. And we got to see new life over the recent history of the EIWA. There are teams that are etched in the deep, deep history of Olympic sports. So I'd love to just get your thoughts as you get to take a wider approach to the EIWA as you step forward, just what you've seen from them, what you appreciate, and really who they are, because that has been put in the spotlight thanks to you and to your student athletes here on the show.
Sure, yeah. As the past couple of years, I've actually been the president of the EIWA conference as well. So I've been in on a lot of phone calls and conversations, with administrators and figuring out what the EIWA looks like in the future. You mentioned the split happened.
Yeah.
And I do think that the EIWA, it has a ton of history. It's the oldest wrestling conference in the country. It's had a huge membership of all different universities that, some of them don't have wrestling programs anymore. Some of them still do and compete in different conferences. So there's a lot of really cool history to the EIWAs. Having two of the military academies in the EIWA with Army and Navy has always been something that I've enjoyed as a competitor and as a coach, right? You get to compete against these historic universities that have such a huge positive effect on our country, right? And we're wrestling those guys. And it's like, after this wrestling match next year, this guy is going to be leading a bunch of people in the military, right? So I think that's very cool. You have Lehigh University, one of the most historic programs in the entire history of wrestling. My alma mater, American, right? So there's just so many great schools. And I think that's one of the things that I liked about joining the EIWA as a student athlete. And it's something that I've always enjoyed about our conference is that it does seem like it is an elite academic conference where we all care about a shared value system of making sure that our student athletes have great academic opportunities as well as athletics opportunities. And I think that can be said about every university that we have in the EIWA. We had a chance to add Morgan State this past year, the only HBCU in the country that has a Division I wrestling program that was brought back through some very generous donations, and we were able to add them to the conference. I think the EIWA has become a destination where when new programs or some older programs are looking to make a change that may value academics as well as athletics, people look at the EIWA and they say that's a conference that does seem like they care about those things. And I still believe that that's important, right? I still believe that the biggest reason that you go and wrestle in college is to get a great education and to get an opportunity that you may not otherwise have been able to get. And I think that's really the foundation of my belief system and what this all should be about.
Yeah. And you keep coming back to the educational piece of this and the importance of that. And I respect that tremendously. Before we get into rapid fire, before we go to that world that we've been before, I do want to name, when you talk about education, you speak on these student athletes. Like I said, a bunch of these gentlemen have been on the show. Carson Wagner, as well as Carter Bear, have been on here. Brevin Casella and Corey Day have all been here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in this time that we've been with Binghamton University as an exclusive multimedia marketing partner. When you think about the student athletes that you've had over the years at Binghamton, and then overall, when you look at your coaching, just what you can say to the level of student and the level of athlete that you brought. I've loved talking with these gentlemen from Binghamton. I have really appreciated the Bearcat family. I feel spoiled to speak with these guys. And I remember where I was. I mean, I stepped away from a national tournament in basketball to go into a hallway that I probably was not supposed to be in because the door was unlocked. And I got down on the ground because I had to interview Brevin. And I wanted to make sure I did it. There was a certain time I had to do it. I didn't know where I was going to be, and I was traveling with Brian and Stratton College of Syracuse, and they're the #1 seed in the men's basketball tournament. They weren't playing at the time, so I snuck off to the side, sat down on the ground, and was like, I just hope nobody bothers me and asks me what I'm doing while I'm sitting here talking to Brevin. So, I mean, I have been very appreciative of these gentlemen, and once they got me forever. And I mean that when I say that to them. So I love for you from the inside out, even more so, to speak on the quality of character and who these guys are that you've had in the program.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it enough, and I've said it. I think every time I've been on with you, I give all of the credit of our success that we've had to the student athletes on our team and the culture that they've created, the accountability that they hold each other to. They're great kids. They get great grades. They have the right values. And when I first started coaching here at Binghamton, every single weekend I was worried about the phone call I was going to get Monday morning about what happened over the weekend. Every week. And after a couple tough years and targeted recruiting, that all went away. Sorry, I'm getting a call coming in. I don't know if I'm still the right way on your screen.
Hey, yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right, hold on, let me.
Yeah. So we lost him here for a second, but we'll bring him back momentarily as we have Kyle Borshoff telling his story here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University, and of course here inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. So we're going to bring Kyle back in here and get him set on the broadcast as we continue the conversation of the student athletes that he has had in the makeup of this program at Binghamton University. So let's go ahead and bring Kyle back in here, and we will do that right now so he can continue his conversation here with us. All right, Kyle, whenever you're ready, you're good to go.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so speaking to the character of my team, it's one of the things that has made my decision to leave tougher than anything else. I love the guys I've gotten to coach. Yeah. I love what they've been willing to do to be successful in all aspects of what they do here, athletically, socially, academically, and the guys that you mentioned, each one of them that you just mentioned a couple minutes ago, have been an instrumental part of that. They have bought into what we're doing here, and I couldn't ask for better student athletes. Their parents are messaging me, a couple of their parents, and it's funny because it's like I say the same thing to their parents, like, your kids are amongst the best people I've ever met in my entire life. And I'm fortunate to have been a part of their wrestling experience.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, that'll go on forever, and you will always be a coach. And I mean, to the point of reflecting on this time here and speaking about what you've done at Binghamton University, you mentioned Gene Marshall, the athletics director. Just what you can say to what you've seen from athletics, what you've seen from, I know that, there's being a shift in the president from who was there, as well as Harvey Stanger and the future stepping forward for Binghamton University. But just what you could say about the leadership and the commitment and what your takeaways were of taking a chance on Binghamton. They took a chance on you, and now reflecting on that hindsight 2020.
Yeah, I love my supervisor. Dennis Kalina is my direct report. Dennis has overseen the program since I've been at Binghamton.
Yeah.
And Dennis has been a great mentor of mine. I've learned a lot from Dennis. He's made me think critically. Early on, when they took a chance on a young head coach, I wasn't even 30 yet, and I'm coaching a Division I wrestling program. We started the season 0-3. We lost 3 straight dual meets, and after we lost those 3 meets, we won our next 10 straight. And later that year, Dennis brought me into his office. We just had a meeting. I forget what, just probably a normal weekly meeting, and he was like, he said something like, I was really worried at the beginning of the season that we made a mistake, and then you proved that we made the right choice, and something along those lines. And that was something where, like, they did take, Dennis and Pat Elliott at the time really gambled on allowing me to take over the program and do what I wanted with it, and bought into some of the things that I was doing with our student athletes and my goals and how I wanted to operate. And Dennis always talks about the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal, right? And how we're going to achieve what we ultimately want. So there's so many things that I've taken away from working with Dennis. And I think that he does an unbelievable job at the university. I think he is such a valuable person for anybody in athletics to spend time with. And I get to spend 10 years with him. So that was amazing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Gene Marshall has been, has obviously not been here the whole time that I've been here, but he came in and immediately just starts talking about winning, right? We're going to win. We're going to win.
Yeah.
Right? Does anyone have any what's your question? No, we're going to win, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
we're going to win. That's what we do. That's what Binghamton does. We're going to win.
Yeah.
And that is a message that I think is really important for any young student athlete to hear from their leadership. Is like, listen, we want to do things the right way and we want to make sure that we're accountable, but we're going to win. And without having somebody that has confidence like that and a belief in the fact that we're going to win, it becomes hard to do so. And I think that was really, right, if I had to take anything away from my past few years that I've been able to work with Gene Marshall, it's that we're going to win, right? And that's when I move into my next endeavor, right? And I'm working with my dad and we're trying to pick up our sales. And it's like, well, how do you compete with some of these real estate offices that are all over the state, have huge multiple branches? We're a family show, right? Like we're doing it in-house. We're going to win. We're going to figure it out. We're going to do it better than they are, and we're going to win. And that's why people are going to work with us instead of somebody else. And I think that that's a message that is invaluable for an 18-year-old freshman to hear. Somebody speak bluntly and confidently in that way. So very thankful that Gene has given that to the department. And it's an easy game plan when we're going to win.
Yeah, no, and I couldn't agree more. And Dennis has been here on the show in a Bearcat Breakroom as well, and I got to tell his story, so I appreciate you mentioning him, and people can go and check that out and all of our Bearcat coverage by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. You click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll see the Binghamton playlist. Kyle, it's time to play rapid fire. You get to ask the first question. What do you have for me?
Oh, my God. Oof. It's not very rapid right now. I should have been thinking about this.
Right.
All right, let's see. My question for you
Yes, sir.
is, what do you think the power conferences look like over the next 5 years? Do you think they condense down? Do you think they maintain 5? What do you think that landscape looks like across the country?
Well, first and foremost, if you're going to call the PAC a power conference, then the American deserves to be there first. And so that would be my conversation about that. The American Athletic Conference has preserved itself and has been attacked and mutilated by realignment. So has Conference USA. And I think the American has more than stated its case. And I've covered them since before they had a name and a logo. So I think the PAC being grandfathered in doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. And it's no offense to the PAC. It's just the truth. I mean, the Americans out here busting their tail. The PAC got completely poached except for 2 schools. And now if you end in state, you can come play in the PAC. I mean, it's whatever state except for Gonzaga, who is in there now and doesn't have football. But to look at the future of this, I made a prediction. At this point, it's probably at least 4 years ago. But my prediction was that the SEC was going to separate itself. And I had a conversation with John Swofford, the former ACC commissioner, a couple conversations with him. And when autonomy happened and they started calling themselves the autonomy group, because power is a media term and autonomy is the legal term, legally it means self-governing. That's the definition. So sitting down with him, and I will not forget this, we were at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And I said, okay, so y'all chose the name autonomy. That's
It's not a random name. You don't randomly write something in to a legal binding agreement. And I said, so you're essentially telling the NCAA, you're on an island on your own, and you're going to work with them for now. Is there a conversation about not doing that? Is there a conversation about breaking away? And he told me this a long time ago. It's not that we haven't discussed it. It's not that it's not a topic of discussion, but not right now. And my prediction, after having conversations, watching things, paying attention to the tea leaves the way that I see them, and then COVID and seeing Oklahoma and Texas move into the SEC, I firmly believe that if the SEC can pull a few pieces and the Big Ten can maybe finagle something with Notre Dame, that there is a world, or if Notre Dame somehow finds a way to continue to make all their money and just go with the SEC and the Big Ten, that there's a world where they will break away, they will become their own. I thought the SEC was going to do it. I think the Big Ten took the West Coast schools in order to be enticing, because if you look from the Big Ten and the SEC together, they have every part of America except for the Idaho, Wyoming, Arizona. It's not going to affect the college football landscape when it comes to national champions, who's competing for them. And it's no disrespect to those institutions. They just have every single brand that they need, except for maybe a Clemson, a Florida State, and a Notre Dame, maybe Miami. If they are to pull those out and grab those schools, then the SEC and the Big Ten would call themselves a conference, have a national champion who's going to fight with them about that. So how do I see it going? I think that I'm going to be right in my prediction. I've been right about other predictions, Kyle, that I did not want to be right about. One of them was 7 years ago when I said, mark my words, 5 to 10 years from now, the NCAA will look drastically different if they exist at all. Unfortunately, the NCAA has proven me right. They look drastically different. And I kind of am concerned if they're going to exist at all. So, especially with this commissioner forum, how they're going to do it with college football and who's going to be overseeing, and the NCAA fully admitting during COVID that they have no control over college football. So why is it an NCAA sport? So, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, it's a long-winded answer, but it's been rooted in a lot of prediction. And I believe that we will see a world where there are 3 tiers of Division I, SEC, Big Ten, Notre Dame will be within that. If Notre Dame doesn't join a conference, I think that you can force them to by saying they can't qualify for the college football playoff if they don't. In that case, they would join the Big Ten. But in my opinion, I think there's a tier 1, SEC, Big Ten. I think there's a tier 2, the rest of the FBS. And I think there's a tier 3, which is the FCS. And I think that's where we're heading. I think we're already there. And I think if you pay attention to the domino effect of what's happening in college football, it has been very clear who they protect when it comes to the polling, when it comes to how teams are ranked, where teams are placed, and how things are done. And I think they're trying to appease the SEC and the Big Ten, fully knowing that there's not much else that they can do as the NCAA in order to keep them under their rule, so to speak. My question back to you kind of goes off of that. Can Olympic sports survive today's collegiate model?
Well, I sure hope so. To your point, I think it would probably be the best thing that could happen if they could survive in a separate space from college football, right? I mean, that's the elephant in the room, and the biggest problem that exists is college football being professional sports.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money involved in college football, right? And that money funds everybody. And that's where, like, I always found this whole thing to be, when they started talking about like this revenue sharing model, and you talk about revenue, who cares, right? Like, okay, you made $100 million, but you spent $180 million, right? Like, where's the money that you're going to share coming from? You spent it all. You spent more than what you brought in, right? So I'm hoping that Olympic sports will continue to thrive and survive. I think that they have niche fan bases that are very, very supportive of them, right? When you go to the wrestling national championships, it's the best wrestling event in the world. It's better than the Olympics. It's better than the World Championships. And that is because it is affiliated with colleges, right? So like your affiliation with your college or any college leverages fandom. People want to be a part of that. So I'm hopeful that Olympic sports continues to thrive. I think that you're right where it's going to be hard to control where the money is, right? If you have all the money, why are you letting somebody tell you what you can do with it? That's a tough position to be in. If a certain entity doesn't want to be governed in a certain way, and they have all the money, it's going to be hard to stop them. I'm hopeful that wrestling continues to allow competition across membership, and I think that that's the way that Olympic sports survive, right? So if there is tiers like you're speaking of, allowing Olympic sports to continue to compete across those tiers together in a championship makes a lot of sense to me. I think especially in a sport like wrestling where we've seen Binghamton beat Maryland, Binghamton beat Northwestern, right? Like we compete with and we beat Big Ten programs. So I think that happens quite often in Olympic sports. And I hope that spirit of competition will continue. And at the end of the day, right, it's like, if it comes down to it, if someone sat me in an office and said, listen, Kyle, I have two choices for you. Choice number one, we're going to cut all of your scholarships, but you're still going to compete. Choice two, we're going to drop your program. I'd take choice one every day of the week. Keep my team, keep providing opportunities to my student athletes, provide opportunities to the kids that need them, that will always need them and have an exceptional skill in their sport. That's what this is supposed to be all about. And I'm hopeful that people that make decisions and that are in charge see that more than just looking at dollars and cents. Because if you just look at dollars and cents, none of college athletics makes sense.
It's a perfect point, a point well taken. If it's all about the numbers, then the numbers are never enough for the people that it's all about the numbers for. And it just continues to go and go and go until it deteriorates into something that is very informal and detached. And the world doesn't need to go farther in that direction. Your final question for me, Kyle.
Give me the 2026 NCAA Wrestling Championship team. And just for the heck of it, give me the basketball team. We're combining basketball and wrestling here on the break room. Who's winning it in both sports?
Okay. So, I mean, you know that I want to sit here and pick Binghamton. So, So, okay. Basketball, I'll save until the last piece here. So obviously Penn State has had a tremendous amount of success, and so has the Big Ten. I would like to see a change. I would like to see someone else here. I think there's a really easy answer for me to make, and I think I could sit here and say Penn State, but I would like to see someone else do it. I don't know who that's going to be. I respect Penn State, but I'm all about the underdog story. And so I feel like if there was a come up team that could do it, I think, feet to the fire, I'm going to say Penn State. But I think if there was an underdog to do it, better than I do of the underdogs that are out there. Is there a team that you've seen over the years? And I'll answer the basketball question in a second. But is there a team that you've seen over the years that you think could have enough to take out a Penn State?
Well, let's go. If you said give me a non-power conference school, I'm gonna pick. I'd give you Lehigh and Cornell.
Okay.
Right? Give me Lehigh. Give me the EIWA. Give me Lehigh. They're gonna have an amazing team next year. I'm excited to watch their squad.
Okay.
right? And obviously not. I would pick myself. I would bet on myself to win, but I excluded Binghamton too in this. We would have won, but yeah, let's give me Lehigh, all right, and that would be a long shot. I love Coach Santoro. I think he does amazing things, and I think they're gonna have a really awesome team to watch next year. So a little bit of EIWA love, and keep an eye on those guys next season.
All right, give me a championship. Penn State and Lehigh. Let's do it. So I would love to see that. And Lehigh, I will second Kyle and say that we hope to see you there very soon. So to answer your basketball question, who's going to do it in basketball? It used to feel so wide open, but now with NIL, it just feels like, again, the haves versus the have-nots. And it's frustrating to me because I love the upsets. In this past March Madness was March Sadness. It was boring in a lot of ways. There wasn't any 15 seeds or 14 seeds or 13 seeds. The 5-12, yeah, I mean, that's still a good matchup. But, I mean, if I had to pick going into this year, well, they're going into a new conference. They're going to be in the pack. But I want to live for a Gonzaga championship. Like, I love Mark Few. I love interviewing him. He is somebody that was on my list of people that I had to talk to. I've spoken with him multiple times. I've spoken with guys that have come through the program. I feel very blessed for that. I was super excited that whoever won between the Pacers and the Thunder, a Gonzaga Bulldog, was getting a ring because there was not only a player on both sides, but a starter on both sides. So I'm super happy that Chet Holmgren gets to get his ring. But, yeah, I mean, I would love to see Gonzaga. I don't think UConn's going to go back there right now. Big East, there's some rebuilding that's going on there. St. John's, I think, is a team to look out for. I was high on them last year, but I think maybe I was a little early. So I think St. John's is a team to look at. I'd probably, if I had to pick right now, I would say give me Gonzaga or St. John's. I feel like St. John's is real. I mean, their name is the Red Storm, and I think that storm is absolutely brewing. And I think if people aren't seeing it, it's because they don't want to. So I think St. John's is a dangerous team, and I trust my vibes. I trust how, that internal feeling, and I got a feeling about St. John's. I really do. And I cover the Big East, so I feel very spoiled to be around them too. And Rick Pitino, I mean, the dude he's the Al Pacino of college basketball. So my question back to you, you put me on the spot with all these. All right. So, okay, how about this? Since we talked about football, give me a college football playoff national champion and give me the NFL Super Bowl champion, both for this upcoming season.
The NFL Super Bowl champion is easy. Okay. It will be the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
As it has been destined to be since 1993. And it's going to be our year. So I plan to be at some of those games. I'm excited. I grew up, I would think I went to every home Bills game from the time I was 6 till the time I was 18. So I'm excited to be back at some Bills games and watch them win a Super Bowl next year. So that was easy. Okay. The football champions is harder because, as I told you before, my coach told me never to be a fan of athletics. So I've not been a great fan over the past several years. But you know what? I am going to pick, it's a bold prediction, the national champions will be another EIWA team. And it's challenging here to pick one of the two, but I'm going to go with the United States Military Academy. I'm going to take Army West Point to win a national championship. We just had a local wrestler from this area that finished up there at Army, and he's been, I think, signed to the Ravens squad right now. So I'm excited to watch him hopefully play next year for the Ravens. And I always like to follow local kids, right? So. And I might as well take an EIWA school. So Army, give me Army.
I like it. I mean, I fought for Army to get into the college football playoff this past year, and
made myself very clear that Indiana played 11 unranked teams, and the only team that they played that was ranked spanked them, and that was Ohio State. And Army had been undefeated all the way through, and they're like, well, they lost to Navy. Doesn't matter. They lost to Navy after the decision would have been made because that game is played later. I went to the Army-Navy game, been covering both teams for a long time, and I feel very spoiled. Finally got to sit with Jeff Monken. Now we've spoken a bunch of times. And on the other side, Brian Newberry. So I love them both dearly, and I have family in both, which always prevents that. That's always my scapegoat. Is one of my grandfathers, my dad's dad, Grandpa Tortora, Army. My mom's dad, Papa Cavino, Navy. So I said, you can't ask me to choose between my grandfathers. But I love them both very much. I love my experience with the teams, love the student athletes that I've gotten to talk with, and look forward to the ones I will. And I absolutely love my bond with Coach Newberry, and my newfound bond with Coach Monken has been great. He is so serious, and I feel like I've gotten him to smile, I think, a couple times. And one of the times we were doing a call, he said, good to hear from you, Dan, and I'll see you soon. And I was like, because he is business. They both are business. And Monken is just, he looks like a drill sergeant. He really does. I forget that he's not like out there, like with them, making them go through all of the different pieces they have to do in order to prepare themselves for battle, because Coach Monken he's cut from that cloth. It really looks like that. So I like your pick of Army because I think the military academies go underrepresented, not by themselves, but nationally. They don't get enough exposure. They don't get enough respect. And someone's always looking to put them in their place as opposed to giving them the due that they have. In this past year, they both deserve to be in the top 25, and Army deserved to be the last team in the college football playoff. I don't even care if you made them 12. I have a lot of respect for the work that both teams have done, and I loved that Army-Navy game. Absolutely loved it. So there's a lot of good to come from here, and I love your picks. With that being said, Kyle Borshoff here with us. Kyle, like you said, you'll never retire. Well, you can't get rid of me. You and I are connected now. We're going to keep building on this friendship, keep building on our time. I love seeing your support of these kids. I see it on my social media whenever I have anybody on the show. I see the appreciation. I see the love. I see the passion. And I thank you for that. I thank you for the fact that you champion your kids. And I think that that's a big word, but a word that's well-deserved when we spoke about championships here today. So I want to say thank you, but I will not allow this to be our last conversation if you won't.
That's good with me. Call me anytime. I love coming on. I love talking about wrestling and sports in general, and I really appreciate everything you've done, just giving us exposure and taking care of my guys and letting them speak their minds, and appreciate everything you do for our sport and our university. And I would be upset and sad if we never speak again.
I know we definitely will, and I appreciate you as always. But now maybe it'll be in our schedule that you and I go see some wrestling together. Maybe that's something
Sure.
we can do. So I look forward to that soon. Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Dan.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry loving friend. Right, Lily? Avicolli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicolli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot Avicolli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. Canine Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. Canine Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to caninecampground.com as well. That's KAMP ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. Canine Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose Canine Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Find your way over there Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Featuring so many great things at GG Cards and Breaks. You will find all that you need from their hockey, soccer, basketball, football, baseball, as well as Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and more while supplies last. GG Cards and Breaks is about being a big kid. It's about tapping into that spirit of yours, what you love, the teams you love, the players you love, the characters, and the games that you love to play. GG Cards and Breaks is a place to go every single week to relax, to be who you are, to enjoy your time, and to just celebrate what it is to build relationships with such a wonderful community and celebrate what it means to always keep that kid spirit alive, that whimsy, that mystery, that excitement. It's something that can only be described by going to GG Cards and Breaks. We look forward to seeing you there today, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. We appreciate you. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, it's time to, inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, step into our final piece of today's broadcast and every Tuesday broadcast, which are the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. Avicolli's is located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. And of course, they are at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, right down the street from Liverpool High School. And we have our Liverpool monthly broadcasts with the athletic programs, the student athletes, coaches, and administration all throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you over at Avicolli's coming up here very soon, and make sure you stay tuned to our social media to find out when that is going to be. Always love having our Liverpool athletic shows on site, on location, exclusively at Avicolli's, 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. So today's ingredients to success topic that we have for you is going to be Ad-Libbing the Recipe. ad-libbing the recipe, right? As somebody who loves to cook, and I make no secret of this on the show. I'm Italian and Hispanic. I'm proud to be, and I love the culture that I'm in and the culture that I have. So it's about ad-libbing, right? When we're cooking, when I talk about being Italian and Hispanic, there's cooking that comes into that world. And I love to cook, I love to create, and sometimes we have to ad-lib the recipe, right? Sometimes we want to make something, we don't know exactly how to make it, and maybe someone in the family is not giving us the recipe, right? Maybe it's a secret to not let us know every piece of it, or maybe we lose the recipe. I did that with my grandma. She makes an incredible rigot pie, and I love that rigot pie, and I miss my grandma deeply. And so I took her recipes when I was living in her after she had passed away. I took over the house for a while, and here I am, living at the house. And when I left, I took the recipes, and the rigot pie recipe I've had for years, and for whatever reason, I haven't been able to find it. I lost the recipe, but I remembered. I was like, okay, I know things that go into this. I know how to make this. I can get through this, and I recreated it the last couple of years, and it came out without a hitch. I mean, it might even have tasted better. So to me, I've had to literally ad lib the recipe, and figuratively ad libbing the recipe. What am I saying? I mean, well, the recipe for a successful life, the ingredients to success, right? The recipe for a successful life is the ability to ad lib. So the ingredient for this week is in the title. You have to be able to ad lib. You have to be able to roll with the punches, to adjust to ever changing situations and climates and whatnot. Things are not always going to work out the way that you want them to work out. They're not always going to be exactly how you want them to be. Very rarely will something be exactly what you expect it to be or what you want it to be. And a prime example of ad-libbing the recipe is these past couple days. I've wanted to get a new desktop for the studio, new studio computer, and to have that here to run the show. And I know that I need a certain specs for that because we do a lot of editing, we do a lot of audio, video, a lot of broadcasting, a lot of live stuff, as you all know. And so I wanted to make sure that we got a really good computer. And so the plan over these last couple of years was to buy a computer. I was supposed to do it 2 Christmases ago, then last Christmas, and I've been operating without having that new computer. But I had a laptop that I've been able to lean on and trust, and I bring everywhere. And then that laptop a few days ago decided to stop working. So with that being said, with that being done, and me not being able to turn it on, luckily, I have an external hard drive, so I have a bunch of stuff over there, but I didn't have everything. And I didn't want to just buy a new computer, and knowing that I had to buy a desktop, I was obviously not looking forward to having to buy a desktop and a laptop at the same time, but I had to ad lib the recipe. The recipe is the show. The recipe is what you see, right? The different templates that we have. There's work that goes into everything that you see on your screen from week to week. There's those commercial breaks and all of the presets and different things that we have, and the style that we have, and the picture in and of itself. And I'm still working out some of the kinks with this new laptop, but I had to ad lib, right? I had to rebuild my show, rebuild everything on the software. Luckily, I still had the software. Luckily, I have the license. Luckily, I have the other things that I need. But in our social media, we were able to do it. But everything that I did in the background, if I didn't tell you, to me, it went off without a hitch. There was nobody complaining, saying this doesn't look the same, it doesn't feel the same, I can't hear it, I can't see it. Everything was there, right? Our commercials are there. The way that the show looks is there. Our social media continue to go. Our promotions were the same. Our website was up. So everything was there. And so to you, if I didn't tell you, there wasn't any issue. But in the kitchen, I had to ad lib the recipe. And that's my goal. My goal is, if I'm making the sauce and something happens, something falls into the sauce, I got to recreate the sauce, I lose the recipe for the sauce, I got to do it by memory, that I can recreate that sauce. And for those of you dining in the kitchen, or those of you that are dining in the restaurant, you don't know that the sauce had to be adjusted. You didn't know we had to make a new batch. You didn't know that the recipe went missing. If you can sit in my restaurant and eat the food, and speaking figuratively and literally, because, I love food, but speaking figuratively, if you can sit in my restaurant, which is the show, and you can experience it, and everything seems normal and the same and good, and the quality's there, and you can hear it and you can see it, then in the kitchen, everything that I'm dealing with and all the craziness that we had to ad-lib through, if to you it's the same recipe, if to you it's the same good food, if to you it's the show that you hope for it to be and expect for it to be and have come to love it as, then I've done my job. And that is what happened over these last few days and continues to happen, is a rebuilding, right? I had to ad-lib the recipe. I had to create and build something that was already built. And I had to make sure I had all the pieces, that I had everything I needed. We didn't stop scheduling our interviews. We didn't stop our social media. When I had to go get a new laptop and do all this stuff and recreate these things and whatnot, there was nothing that was halted. No business meeting was halted. No interview setup was halted. No connection to someone, no email, no social media posts. Like I said, none of that was stopped. We continued working as if nothing was wrong while we adjusted a problem that needed to be fixed. And that's what life is. If you can pull off life where the people eating at your restaurant don't know that you had to ad-lib the recipe today, the people in your classroom don't know that, you're just dealing with something with your car and you had to do this, that, and whatever. You never know what's going on in somebody's life. And there's a realness to the fact of, you have no idea. People, I could be talking to someone and we could be having a great time and we're doing something together and this and that, and I have no idea that they just got pulled over by a cop, that their car broke down, that they had to deal with this with their mom, that their kid was acting up today, that they got 3 hours of sleep, and so on and so forth. And so that, to me, it is incredibly important to understand that life is always happening. And it's happening to all of us. And we seem to be creatures of, we're thinking about ourselves, right? I'm the one that got pulled over today. I'm the one that's dealing with the breakup. I'm the one that's dealing with this with my mom. I'm the one that's dealing with the fact that I can't get a hold of this person. I'm the one who, this person didn't keep their word. I didn't get my check on time, da, 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 da. But you have no idea how many people could be going through the same things, could be going through worse, could be going through much more or less. And it's important to treat people kindly every single day. When you're ad-libbing the recipe, that's what life is. There's no perfect recipe to life. There is no textbook on exactly how to live your life. There is the Bible, and there are, clear teachings. But when it comes to, how do I deal with this specific person at this specific time? I would say pray. I would say get in your Bible, trust God, trust your experiences, and when you gain knowledge and wisdom, implement it. It means nothing to gain knowledge and wisdom and then not do anything, right? It's almost like you're buying a bunch of stuff and you're putting it in a closet and you're never using it, right? You got all this stuff that you've gained over time, but it's in the closet. It's not out. It's not working. You're not utilizing it. There's no point in hoarding knowledge and wisdom like you would hoard materials in your house. If you're not going to use the knowledge and wisdom, there's no reason in having it. And in life, I've learned that one of the greatest words you can ever teach someone at a young age is the word ad-lib, because you will have to know how to do that in your life. You will have to know how to recreate something that you've created 100 times because something went wrong, like with my computer. I have to recreate all this stuff. My other computer's not working. I can't just simply transfer it over. So I have to remember what it looked like, remember all the pieces to it, and put it all back together. And that challenged me. What I learned from that, my mind is strong. My mind is strong. I love what I do. I'm extremely focused. There was these things that you kind of like, go through life and you think like, am I as focused? I feel so tired. Am I paying attention? Is my mind strong? Am I going to remember this? Am I going to want to do this? Am I going to swear through it, or am I going to focus on it? Am I a positive person or a negative person? Sometimes God makes you do something you've already done so that he can remind you who you already are. And I learned that Sunday night. It was like, you very much love this. You're extremely passionate. You love to create. You love to make things better. You have a strong mind. You have a strong heart. You absolutely are dedicated to your craft. No one will stop you. Nothing will stop you. No complaints. Whatever roadblock is put in your place, you're going to find a way around it. I had plan Bs already in my head, and I didn't have to use them. And I thank God. Truly. Thank you. Thank you, God, for that. It all worked out. And like I said, my thing was for you to turn on the show Monday morning and not even know. And I would like to think that that's exactly what happened. That you turned on the show yesterday and were like, if Dan didn't tell me all the stuff he had to go through to make sure the show went on today, I didn't see any difference. That is my goal. And if you focus on the big picture, you're going to have to deal with stuff. Things are going to happen. There's friendships that we thought we would have forever. Some of those are gone. There's people we thought we could always lean on. Some of those are gone. There's business relationships that we thought would last forever, that would always be there for us, that we would always be able to utilize, that aren't there. There's people we never expected to show up that did show up. There's opportunities that we never thought would maybe present themselves, and they have. There's things that we stopped believing in, and as we're giving up, it walks into our lives. You don't know what is going to happen next. And that's why it's important to be willing to ad-lib through your life. Because those of you that think that life is simply going to happen exactly how you planned it, and that you can order a man like you order food from DoorDash, or, write down the perfect woman and you're just going to create her in a lab. That's not how life works. Life works the way that it does. And sometimes you can explain it, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. If I've learned anything, it is to be present, be yourself, be confident and courageous, which doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you're not going to let the fear overtake you. You're going to battle it back with confidence and courage and goodness and kindness and knowing who you are. I am a big proponent of figuring out who you are, not making excuses, because I don't want to hear excuses, right? When I'm late to something, I'm late. And no matter what I say, I'm late. And I already feel bad. And I already feel like I let them down. And I don't like waiting. So I don't want to make somebody else wait. And no matter what I say, I'm late. Whatever excuse I make, I'm late. And I didn't want to be, right? And some things are totally out of your control, but some things are very much in your control. People could say, well, I'm late all the time because there's all these roads getting fixed in central New York. Yeah, but you've known that they've been getting worked on for a while. And yeah, they change, and yeah, the routes change, and yeah, this lane's open, now it's closed, now another lane's open. It was 3 lanes, now it's 2, now it's 1, now it's back to 2. There's certain things you're not going to necessarily know. There's roads I wake up on a Sunday, and on Monday the road's different because they're doing so much construction here in Syracuse and central New York. But I know that the roads are being worked on. So I can't simply use the road as an excuse. Now, if there's traffic and if there's backup and if there's an unexpected thing, and there was a road yesterday where there hasn't been traffic the last few times I've been on it, but yesterday there was a ton of traffic. But I went a different route. and I was thinking to go that route. My GPS told me to go that route, and it ended up working out. But I know that there's construction, so I should already be leaving early. If it takes me 22 minutes to get somewhere, then I need to leave 40 minutes, 45 minutes ahead to plan for the extra traffic, to plan for the construction. On top of the fact that if it takes 22 minutes, I don't want to just get there on time. I want to be early. So you can't leave 30 minutes before. You can't leave 18 minutes before and hope to make the time up. You can't leave 20 minutes before. You got to leave probably about 40 minutes before, probably 45 minutes before. And that's what you got to do. You have to be willing to ad-lib. Complaining that the roads are going through construction is not going to change the construction. Complaining that somebody broke up with you is not going to change that it happened. Complaining that you didn't get your way with something is not going to make it better. You have to be willing to ad-lib and adjust. Life is about adjusting. Life is about being able to have a response. You might have everything set up in what you want to do, and you present that to someone, and they say, "What about this?" And you have to be willing to respond to that. You have to be willing to have a plan B. You want to implement these 3 things, and they say, "Well, what if we do these 2 things? What can we do for that?" You got to be able to respond and adjust to that. You can't just simply be stuck in your ways. Stubborn people, they may think they're successful, but you're not. Because being stubborn prevents you from so many things in your life that you can experience. Stubborn, set in your ways, people that live by a checklist, and I'm not saying a to-do list. I'm not saying you don't write things down and get them done. I'm saying people that live by a checklist. This person's got to have all these things in order for me to even talk to them. They got to be da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, people that schedule other people like appointments, treat everything like a checklist, and think that everything can be figured out with an equation. That's not life. That's not life. Life is full of surprises. Life is full of challenges. You might want a phone call 3 months ago that you don't get. But 3 months later, you catch up with that friend, and it's one of the best conversations you've had in a long time. You never know what's going to happen. So that's why I think it's extremely important, and why I wanted to have this as a topic today, to understand that life is the life does not have a perfect recipe, and it requires that you ad-lib with it. It requires that you learn. Because things are going to happen, challenges will arise, this world will test you. God will test you. And they say, well, why is God testing me if he loved me? He tested Jesus, his only begotten son. He tested those that followed Jesus. The few that stood by his son's side were tested all the time. He tested those that were most devout. He tested Job, took everything from Job, stripped Job naked of all that he had, to see how deep Job's faith went. And Job kept his faith, and he got everything back, times 2. There's a prayer that there's a Bible verse where God says, "I will give you back 7 times what you've lost." And I always wonder, why 7? And I always wonder how. How can God give you back time, right? How can God, if I wanted to have kids at 25 and now I'm 39, how can God give me back that 14 years? But God says, trust in me. Trust in what I will do for you. I've told you this, and I will. I will get it done. And as crazy as it sounds, and as difficult as it may be, and as absolutely impossible as some of these feats are, I trust in God. Because if I've learned anything in this life that I have lived for 39 plus years, it's that God loves me, God believes in me, God has faith in me, and never leaves me alone. God is always by my side, always hoping, knowing. God has never failed me. You hear the story that I told earlier on the show. What are the chances that I'm climbing a mountain in the hometown of where my family grew up in Italy on my dad's side? And I just so happen to find a mountain there, and I just so happen to climb the mountain, and the mountain just so happens to do with Jesus and with God, and the mountain just so happens to have the Stations of the Cross. So I'm climbing a mountain, and the first mountain that I've ever fully climbed is a mountain that I'm climbing, reenacting the path that Jesus took to his cross. How does all of that stuff just so happen to work out together so perfectly? By mistake, by happenstance, by pure coincidence. It doesn't. I was supposed to find that place. I was supposed to find that mountain. I was supposed to find that cross. I was supposed to walk that path. I was supposed to talk to God. I was supposed to leave what I left. I was supposed to learn. I was supposed to grow. I was supposed to blossom. And I was supposed to come down that mountain with better than what I went up that mountain with. And I was supposed to be prepared for the life that I needed to live from here on out. God did not send me up that mountain to say a bunch of things, do a bunch of things, and then come down and be exactly the same person. That was not the plan. The plan was for me to learn, to grow, to blossom, to improve, and to be better. And it is up to me to take what I've learned. Ad-libbing the recipe. When my dad and I went to Maddaloni, we didn't have a plan. We didn't know where we were gonna go, what we were gonna do, what we were going to see. We didn't know that there were mountains that were going to be there. We didn't know that there was going to be the Stations of the Cross. We didn't know that there was going to be a church at the top of the mountain. None of that was known. All of it happened in the moment. And all of those things happening together created an experience that, if I allow it to, will change my life forever. So, just like when you lose grandma's recipe, trust your heart, trust your mind, trust your hands in that kitchen, and recreate, ad-lib the recipe. And if you give it all you have and do the best you can, I'm a firm believer that you will like the taste of what's on that plate. What does God say? Taste and see the goodness of the Lord. Don't ever give up on yourself. And understand that God tests you because God loves you. And God wants to see the best come out of you. Pressure makes diamonds. Remember who you are. And enjoy the journey of figuring that out. Ad-libbing the recipe, proudly presented by Avicolli's. In this edition of the Ingredients to Success, I appreciate you so very much. And I send my best to John and everyone over at Avicolli's, the Avicolli family, of course, and everything they've done to serve our community for decades. You can go there 7 days a week. Let them know the DT sent you. And of course, we're there every month with Liverpool Athletics, so we can't wait to see you there again soon. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I thank you for tuning in on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe, thank you for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I truly cannot thank you enough. And of course, once the show goes live, the shows jump into the archives, and we are adding to that archive this week Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And of course, you can ask Alexa and your Google Home device to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. For our North Carolinian listeners and visitors to North Carolina, make sure that you make Brooklyn Pickle a stop down in the wonderful state that was first in flight. Southern Pines, North Carolina has the Brooklyn Pickle on 1788 Old Morganton Road, right down the street from Pinehurst Golf Course, which you know from the PGA Tour. We look forward to seeing you over at Brooklyn Pickle today. Let them know the DT sent you. And of course, many thanks to our team here in Central and Upstate New York. We ask you to support our team of partners: Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp, Ground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Brian's Landing, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Pizza Man, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicolli's, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins, Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, and the Binghamton University Bearcats. You can find the Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find the Bearcats every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat time. And you can find all of these wonderful schools and all of the shows that we've done on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Lemoyne playlist, our BSC Syracuse playlist, and our Binghamton playlist. Each of these schools is on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com, Syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and BinghamtonBearcats.com. And as always, we appreciate the Dolphins, the Bobcats, and the Bearcats. With that being said, on the show inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', thank you to Symir Torrence for an incredible conversation that was continued by another fantastic multi-layered conversation with Kyle Borshoff as we celebrate him moving into his next chapter and everything he's done at Binghamton in his career and always being a coach when it comes to wrestling and life. And many thanks to Avicolli's for the ingredients to success, Ad-Libbing the Recipe. Remember, life will never be exactly how you want it to be. Be willing to ad-lib, to learn, to grow, and start to appreciate the lesson so much that you stop complaining about the fact that it took a little while to get there and took some strife maybe to get there. Never stop believing. Always be yourself. Learn, grow, and evolve. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, this is Wake Up Call. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.